My name is Carlassee Edward Washington. I'm going to be, I guess, telling you about the Ashley Grill and Hotel James.
Who were the founders of the Hotel James and Ashley Grill?
The founders were Uncle George Washington, Uncle James Washington, Uncle Henry Washington, and my father, Edward Robert Washington.
So they were brothers.
They're all brothers, yeah.
So tell me about well, let me go and ask you about the question of the name. How did the name come about for the hotel and grill?
I don't know about the name of the Ashley Grill that came about, but I know the name Hotel James came with a fight with Uncle James wanting his name on the hotel.
Okay, so he wanted his name on the hotel
Right.
at first.
Being
All
that
right.
he was the youngest brother.
Okay. So how did the Washington brothers get their start in hotel and restaurant business?
They started originally with the Ashley Grill restaurant. From my understanding, back in those days, most of the black businesses were down on State Street in the Market Street area. And that's where they had their business, they had the restaurant down there. And at some point, they must be bought property on Spring Street and they built the Ashley Grill. I don't know if they built that building or that building was there, but that Ashley Grill was there. And then the Hotel James was built.
Okay, so it's the restaurant first, and was that segregated area?
Yes, more or less, the area was segregated, yeah. There were a lot of businesses in that area. There were a couple of clubs, the Glass Door on Spring Street. Right next door was Esau Jenkins Motel and Restaurant. There was a gas station on the corner of Chestnut and Spring Street, which is now Haggett Avenue and Spring Street. It was a Phillips 66 gas station that was black owned. There was another club, Ann's Lounge, on the corner of Chestnut and Spring Street, which is down Haggett Avenue. And there was a little shop in between the gas station and the hotel, where the hotel was at. And further down, across the street, Hardee's came in the 60s, early 60s, I believe. Hardee built up across the street. And there was a Piggy Park across the street too.
So Hardee's was like a drive-through area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hardee's came in the 60s.
So it was like it was like a
Business area.
area with restaurants, clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know when and where did the Hotel James open?
Hotel, as far as I know, it opened in 1952.
Okay. Do you know what was going on at the time? Maybe like in terms of like maybe like why did they start the business, or like they just wanted to extend the business from the restaurant to have a hotel?
I guess there was a need for hotel accommodations back then. This was 1952. I was born in 1951. So, and as far as I know, Uncle George came back from New York, and I guess he came with the ideas of the restaurant and hotel with Uncle James. And during the 50s, blacks, it was very segregated in the 50s. You know, even as I was coming up, it was segregated, and I imagine it was even more segregated back then too. So I guess they came up with the idea of a hotel. It was considered a grand hotel at that time, in the early 1950s.
So what did you, before they opened a hotel, did you know were there any other hotels in the area or place for accommodations?
Not to my knowledge. There was a hotel across on the other side of the street that was a white hotel. I think it was the Flamingo Hotel that had a above ground pool that you could see, had windows you could see, but blacks couldn't go in that hotel. As I recall, most of the time there were houses. People would even stay in people's houses, or rooming houses.
So before then, if you needed some place to stay, you were out of town, you stayed with somebody.
Stayed in somebody's house.
You didn't go to a hotel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when the hotel opened on Spring Street, what was the neighborhood surrounding businesses like? Do you have any other memories about the other Black-owned businesses in the area?
Well, there were a lot of, let's see, in the area, I think there weren't many. The glass store was a black, it was run by a black person. As far as I know, it was run by a black person, but it was owned by a white person, which was a bar. It was a bar, adult bar. And the Ann's Lounge was a bar and dance club. And I think she owned that. That's the only thing on Spring Street that I know about. Throughout town, there were always clubs and bars and people houses that they used to go into and, and party and play cards. And even in grocery stores, the corner grocery stores, there were a few restaurants. The Brooks Brothers had a restaurant and motel on Morris Street that they operated. And I think that's all I can remember, yeah.
So the area was kind of like working class people going out to hang out,
Oh yes, it was definitely that. One thing I can say about that time, for them to have a hotel, one thing I can say about the restaurant, the Ashley Grill was a 24-hour restaurant, open 24 hours, so it provided a service for people to come get their meals and if they want to have a beer or drink. It was 24 hours, and I thought about this a couple of weeks ago. I never saw somebody come there that came straight from work, had work clothes on. The people would took pride in themselves when they came to the Ashley Grill. They came out to have a good time, look nice, and have a good meal,
Right.
And people would say, "I'll meet you at the Ashley Grill, I'll be there soon,
So it was a place to get a meal, but also hang out, drink,
yeah.
or whatever you wanted to do.
One of the popular places, 24 hours. You could go get a meal.
Right, and
Yeah.
just stay if you wanted to meet somebody.
Yeah.
Stay there as well.
Right.
Okay. Can you tell me about what the Hotel James and Ashley Grill is known for in the community?
Being a place for the average person could go to get a meal and sit down and have a drink with your friends or people in the neighborhood. And I thought about this too the other day. I never heard of anybody getting shot or killed around the Ashley Grill or Hotel James in my lifetime. Never heard of that. No fights, maybe a couple of arguments, but never a fight. But mostly it was a very respected place. Everybody called my daddy Mr. Robbie. They called him Mr. Robbie. They respected him. Everybody came in to have a good time, eat some food, listen to some music, smoke some cigarettes, and drink their little things, drink their little drinks.
And it was mostly working class people that came in.
Yeah. And everybody was clean, like I said. I never saw nobody come in there with their working clothes on. They would go home, change clothes, and come back.
So it was a place to hang out,
Yeah.
eat, drink,
yeah.
Hear some music and drink. We talked about a little bit about the typical customers. So maybe describe for me, like, what, if in your eyes, what you think a normal person would do when they came there. So they come in there, they probably get something to eat, or
the special was a bowl of beans. You get a bowl of beans with some rice and a slice of bread. Everybody, bowl of beans.
What kind of beans?
Lima beans, or either a fried bologna sandwich. Extra mustard or extra mayonnaise, sometimes less than the mayonnaise. We did some chicken, but mostly the fried bologna sandwich and the lima beans. We also had, we said okra soup was on the steam table. They had a chicken giblet, which is chicken livers and necks together. And then Hoppin' John too also sold that too. Smothered chicken too.
And you could get a drink, so it was like a full bar, or what was it like?
Beer and alcohol.
Okay, and then maybe you got your drink, you got your food, and then was there the area you could listen to music? Was it like?
They had a jukebox there. They had a jukebox there. Everybody put money in the jukebox, played music. Sit down at the table and people eat. Sometimes ladies and guys get up and dance on the floor.
Okay, and sometimes there was live music.
No live music, no, not in the grill. Only
Okay, not in the grill.
yeah, just a jukebox.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about the hotel, can you tell me about some of the people who stayed there, some of the notable patrons?
Fats Domino, Jackie Wilson, James Brown, Gary U.S. Brown, Gary U.S. Bond, that I know that I can remember right now. Those are the top, probably 4 people, and probably some musicians that came from out of town. A lot of sailors that came in town, they stayed there too. They're on leave, some of them stayed there at the hotel too.
Any baseball players?
Not to my knowledge, I can't remember that. But mostly musicians. It was known for entertainment. The hotel was known for entertainment.
So people traveling on the Chitlin circuit, coming through the South.
Yeah, coming through. Yeah, musicians there.
Can you tell me a little bit about the entertainment area space in the Hotel James?
It was a grand ballroom. The entertainment area was a grand ballroom. The original name was called the Azalea Room. And then they changed the name to the Limbo Room in the 60s. You walk into the front door, double doors, there was a courtroom on each side. Then you walk through another double door, then you enter the grand ballroom with tables and chairs. Right straight ahead, there was a bar, and above the bar was the bandstand. There had 2 steps on the side going up there. And I think it was a glass, like a glass, the bar was on top of a glass pedestal, from wall to wall.
So it's high ceilings?
Yeah, very high ceilings, yeah.
Okay. What was it like working at the hotel and your family business?
I got to like it after, when I was young.
Initially, that's true.
And I got to like it after a while. Be
honest.
No, I kind of felt bad for my father seeing him. You being a young kid on Saturday mornings, I had to go there on Saturday mornings. So everybody's at the park playing baseball, basketball, football. So I kind of cut hooky, didn't go straight there. But then after a while, I kind of got the message, because on Saturdays he would be there by himself, and I was more or less his relief. So he'd be resting, and I could serve customers. I started working there. I was 7 years old. First thing he taught me how was to ring the cash register.
So let's talk about this cash register. What type of cash register was it?
You press the dollar and the cents.
So you were handling the money?
Yep. Handling the money, serving beer, serving food. The food was prepped, always prepped. We had a steam table. The food was always prepped. So if he was asleep, I could just go back there, fix a plate for somebody, and bring it up.
So you were just mostly doing things up in the front, or giving food, trying to give him relief.
Right.
On the weekends or Saturdays.
Whatever they had to sell, we sell cigars, chewing gum, pickles, pig feet. They had ball eggs back there. Pork skin, potato chip, everything.
What was the relationship between your family's business and other Black-owned hotels or restaurants in the area, like the Brooks Motel?
It was like they had like a network. From what I saw, it was a network, because my father, when we go out on Saturday evening, he'd go make his rounds. He would stop to all of them. Every one of them he stopped to. Each one of the little grocery store, Bone Right grocery store, he'd stop there. People were in there playing the pinball machine, playing cards like that. He stopped to Sindad Cleaners, which was a Black-owned cleaners. That was his friend. He stopped there and talked with him. And Brooks was right down the street from there. And Mr. Brown had a grocery store. He stopped there. The barber shop, he knew the guys in the barber shop. Shoe shine parlor. It was like a network. And one thing I noticed too, my father was like the general manager, where he would go buy the supplies and everything. And when we go to go buy the liquor, there was Mr. Henry Smith owned the liquor store, and Mr. What's his name? Can't remember his name. But there were 2 Black-owned liquor stores. But at sometimes he would buy the liquor from Henry Smith, and then he would go to the other guy and buy liquor.
So the stuff he bought in the hotel were all bought from other black
Right.
business owners.
Except for the stuff he couldn't, like the hostess.
Yeah.
We had to go to the hostess.
So everybody who worked in the hotel were black people, were
local people from the neighborhood. Most people lived in the neighborhood that worked. Even he had two young guys that used to help him out during the week. You know, William Carroll. Yeah, he used to help out my daddy too. Yeah, run errands for him. You know, go buy a cigar for 25 cents, Roy Tab.
So your dad was in charge of the day-to-day. So what did the other brothers do, or?
Uncle Henry didn't participate. Uncle George passed, I believe, when I was maybe a baby. Uncle James was the, I guess, president, CEO.
Okay.
He signed the checks.
The money man. Okay.
He signed the checks.
What else? I wanted to ask you, because you said they was all black-owned businesses. So, was it was all nothing but black people in there? Was it integrated, or did white people come in there? Or
No, not at all. And I can tell you some of the customers were lawyers, Judge Fields, John Brown, which was a real estate man, Lawyer Harvey, the detectives, Detective Ward, Wong, Harrowby, Hannigan. Most of the police officers came and ate their lunch there at the grill. Other, people in business sometimes came by and got something to eat, and just to chat with my dad, So they kind of, like I said, it was like a network. They kept a little circle, and they looked out for each other.
Right. Okay.
Benny Gardner was the guy who had the other liquor store. Yeah.
I mean, that relates to kind of like the next question is in terms of when that, everything was going on. Can you talk about maybe a little bit what it was like in Charleston?
Oh, back then, Charleston was it was always something that some place to do. I guess I spent most of my time on the weekends with my father. Now, I didn't go to the grill or hotel during the week until I got older in my teens, But there was always something, going on there. Like I said, it was 24/7. There's something always going on, especially on Friday and Saturday. It was something in town. I remember James Brown used to come to town, and play County Hall. So I was a 99 cent or somebody else coming to town, and everybody would meet at the Ashley Grove or either at the Brooks restaurant. So they would meet up there. So your friends meet up at different places. Even there was Pete's Grill. That was another place too on St. Philip Street, black business. People would meet there. I used to meet my friends there when we go out.
I know you were young, but did you have any idea that you couldn't go anyplace else, that this was the only place that you could go because of segregation?
Yeah, we kind of figured that out. I mean, we never tried to go anyplace else, because some place you would walk by and you couldn't go in there, and you wouldn't even attempt to go in there.
Yeah, you just kind of learned.
Yeah, we didn't want to go in there.
Yeah, you didn't. I mean, like to say the community, it seemed like you had everything there anyway.
Yeah, we had everything there. We had the choice of places that were much better atmosphere, the people that and it was safer.
Right.
We didn't have nobody try to start a fight with you.
Exactly. Okay. Can you talk about when the business closed and why?
I guess, I think the business closed must be in the 70s. My sister Sherry had her wedding reception. She got married in 1971, and Uncle James let her have her wedding reception at the hotel. I came down for the wedding, and I think it closed in the mid-70s, as far as, because I went back to New York. I'm not sure exactly when.
So when you went to school, and then your dad passed away, so who's taking over? Who's running the
Uncle
hotel?
James was running the business after that. He also leased the restaurant to a couple cousins, which was his nieces, Alethea and Ruth Middleton. They were her nieces, but they were my first cousins. They ran it for a few years on their own by themselves. He just leased it to them.
Did you have any? Did you think you would one day be in the hotel, or are you like, I'm not doing that?
No, at one time, I think when I came back in '71, I did talk to Uncle James to try to help repair the hotel, but he wasn't too interested in that neither. I think some of the rooms were beyond repair.
So yeah, talk about that. How it looked from when it opened until in the
Yeah,
'70s.
it was a lot of rooms were beyond repair. They hadn't done any upkeep of the rooms, so I think maybe half the rooms were available at the hotel during the '70s.
And what was the area like around it? Changed.
Oh, okay, yeah, it had changed. It had changed. I think in the '70s, yeah, integration had already kicked in, so everything had changed. People could go other places.
Were the businesses there, or was there homes and around it?
The same places, business was there, but Kentucky Fried popped up. Huddle House popped up across the street. You could go to the town. You could go to the hotel in the bar and hotel now, or Country Inn. You could go in their bar. The Holiday Inn was right across the river. You could go up there to the bar. Blacks could go there then in the '70s. So
What do you remember about the construction of the Crosstown Expressway and how it impacted the neighborhood?
it just cut through a neighborhood. It demolished a neighborhood. We lived probably 2 blocks from where it cut through.
What year? You know what year that was?
I can't remember the year. I think
'60s, late '60s.
I was in elementary school,
Okay.
as I remember. I was in elementary school, just and it cut through. A lot of people were displaced. A lot of people houses were just gone. People were gone. That's it.
Can you talk about maybe about the changes you've seen in Charleston since that time?
I've seen a lot of changes. I don't know if they're for the good, but the changes I've seen in Charleston, Charleston has come from complete circle. Where we used to stay, the other people, the white people, staying now. Before we stayed there, they stayed there. Then we moved there, and now they're back in those areas now, and we are out of the city now. There are more bars and restaurants on King Street than I can count.
And what about the black businesses in the area?
I know of a few, and I still know a few. There's a few restaurants. I don't know of any more bars. Yeah, there's a couple of bars here, black bars, in the neighborhoods. Mostly bars back then were in the neighborhoods. Black bars were in the neighborhoods, So unless there was a large business like the Merchant Seaman Club that was across town, which was a big club that we used to go to. But yeah, it's completely different now. The city of Charleston is completely different, and that's because of integration and the way the circle has revolved, where everything has shifted around.
What do you think about that, or how does that make you like? You've seen the whole circle. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it. I remember how you can walk down King Street. Walking down King Street was like, you were in a happy land. You could be able to go walk down King Street. I thought I was in Happy Land on a Saturday morning, walking down King Street to go to the 5 a dime store. Now I see bars and restaurants. It reminds me of Lenox Avenue in New York.
So what would you say the legacy of the Hotel James and Ashley Girl?
I think the legacy is it provided the everyday people a place they can get a meal for a good price without in a pleasant and calm environment without any hassle. Everybody Everybody was friendly to you. There was no. I don't remember seeing any problems. You know, no fights, no arguments. Maybe a couple, a man and a woman maybe have a little argument at the table, but I can't remember no kind of conflicts. All the times I've been there, and I worked when became a teenager. I started working the night shift, the third shift. So that was the shift where you really see stuff.
Right.
But there was nothing like that, as far as I could see.
Do you have any significant memories of working in a hotel?
I guess I got to see Gary U.S. Brown live. I got to see James Brown. I got to meet Fats Domino, and I had all. They all used to give me pictures when they came to town. Their pictures, autographed pictures, but I lost them all. But I did shake Jackie Wilson's hand. Got to speak to him, and the only person I didn't get to see, that's the only person I got to see live at the hotel was Gary U.S. Brown. I know Jackie Wilson performed there, but I wasn't allowed to go there.
Okay, so in terms about bringing it back, what do you hope for the future of Charleston?
Wow. I don't know. I can't say that. Charleston has changed a lot, and I don't think it'll never get back to where it was. I think it's going to a level where it may be that it's never going to get back to that. You know, I went to Savannah a couple of months ago, and we went to their downtown area where just like where King Street used to be in Charleston. They kind of incorporated different things in that area. They got shops, and they got bars, and they got restaurants, but they got stores and everything, you know. And you still can see the old facade of something like the Crest. And there's in the Crest building, there's an Old Navy store. There's a men's store, you know, men's store that sells suits and shoes like that. That area, it really impressed me the way they incorporated that downtown area. We did that area. But Charleston is gone. They're beyond that. It's too far gone.
So yeah, you don't think that would ever happen?
We overloaded with bars and restaurants.
Would you like to see maybe like a return to more businesses or black-owned businesses in the area, or more entrepreneurs in downtown Charleston?
If possible. You know, well, times are changing. The brick and mortar building is going to go into the wayside. You know, it was always nice to go sit in a place and have a drink or have something to eat. You know, now you can get that stuff delivered to your house, right?
Guilty. Where did black people stay before there was that hotel? And
they stayed in people's houses, and that's how the Green Book came about. The guy he created it so people could know where to go to either to eat and where to stay. I remember seeing a couple of places on Spring Street, on the other end of Spring Street, Maddie's rooming house, you know, on Spring Street, that you can get a room for a night or two while you're in Charleston. And as far as I know, I found out that Uncle James advertised in the Green Book. He advertised about the Hotel James in the Green Book. And that played a very important part for blacks that were traveling, you know, through the South. It helped them because you always need someplace safe to stay. His father was a hard worker. He worked probably 12 to 15 hours a day. He would go on Saturday. We would leave the grill and go Cannon Street down to Market Street, that's where the wholesale distributors were at, and he'd go pick up supplies like chewing gum, cigars, and probably the pickles and pig feet and stuff like that. Then we'll circle around back to, he'd maybe stop to somebody he know, or cleaners, or a tailor guy, he'd do on Logan Street, he used to stop to, or the barber shop, and talk and chat with them for a little while, and then we'll head back on Spring Street. And Saul, you know Saul on St. Philip, and he would stop to Saul, and pick up some stuff from Saul. Saul was the wholesaler too. And then he'd go down Spring Street. The next stop was the Ice House, which was Vermel's father ice house. He would stop and talk with him, before you go, and that was probably the last stop before we get back to the grill. We would unload the products. I would stock the shelves, and if he had meat, there was a meat house in the back of the grill that was used for. You had to store. We would chop the meat for the beans, lima beans, and okra soup. He would go back there and cut the meat up, and I'd wrap it up and put it in the freezer.
So you saw him do all this hard work. Did that inspire you to what you wanted to do one day with your life, or did it deter you?
No, it showed me that he was a hard worker, and I guess I became a hard worker too. I guess that instilled it into me. He never complained about working, but he took time off. He did take out. We went to New York. We drove to New York twice. I remember driving to New York. Right? We used to go to Atlantic Beach on Sundays to take us and my mother and Sherry and Pam. We go to Atlantic Beach on Sunday and lay on the beach. So he did take time off.
That's the other one thing you can talk about a little bit about you, because he had that hotel. You were doing a little better than everybody else. So
yeah.
So how did you know that you had a little more money, or?
No, at that time, no.
Or can you talk about like you had suits?
Yeah. Yes. Father and son. Anybody know Charleston? I used to get my clothes from Father and Son on King Street. We traveled a lot. I was sent to boarding school. He sat down. I think the tuition, when I first went to the tuition, was $320. I had to write the check out. He just signed it because he wasn't feeling good. But back then, that was 1966. In August, he wrote a check for $320 for my tuition at Boggs Academy.
And did you know what his education background or how he grew up? Anything?
He had limited education. I don't know how far he went in school, but he had limited. He could count. He knew how to count his money. He had bank books. He had two bank accounts. One that came to the business and one came to the house. And he dressed nice. He liked nice clothes. We went to church. We went to church together. He was a Presbyterian. So he did go to, when I spent the weekend, sometimes we go to church.
And they weren't originally from Charleston, right?
The story I got, they walked from Alabama.
And ended up in Charleston.
And James Island, yeah.